Good morning, great morning, wonderful morning, spectacular morning, outstanding morning, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious morning. Yes, again, the beautiful reminder of choice that you have, I have, that we all have. See, we all have a choice. And what is the choice that we have? Well, it's about choosing our thoughts. Remember, everything is fundamentally meaningless. Write that in your notes. Everything is fundamentally meaningless. Everything just is. Nothing is good or bad. It's our thinking that makes it so. Your reality has nothing to do with what's happening in your life, what somebody said, what somebody's done, what you've said, what you've done. None of it. All of it's fundamentally meaningless. Your reality has to do with the meanings that you're giving all of that. And guess who gets to determine the meanings of all of it? You. Same way that it is for me in my life. Now, that right there is a beautiful truth that, if used and applied in your life, can lead you to the freedom that you seek, where you're no longer a slave to the tyranny of second causes, where you're rooted in the creative being that you are and creating a life that you would love to live. And that, my friend, is so beautiful and amazing and incredible because it's the way you're supposed to live. So, with that being said, we want to welcome everyone who's new coming into this. Congratulations with being here. And with that, we also want to emphasize that with regards to what we share, that it's important that you use it. Remember the golden rule: application, baby. You got to use the information. The only way you're going to understand is through practice. You've got to apply it. Now, what have we been studying to dive into to use in our life? Well, we've been diving into this beautiful gem here, the science of getting rich. And yes, there is a science to getting rich. There's a science to it. And in terms of the science itself, it's exact, it's rock solid. And the way that I'll demonstrate this to you is, for instance, think of the science of mathematics, the principle of mathematics. If you're trying to work out an equation and you get the equation wrong, in other words, you get the answer wrong from trying to work out that equation, does it mean that mathematics is wrong? Does it mean that the principle of mathematics is wrong? No, it doesn't. What it means is that your methods are incorrect. When you learn the methods, when you apply the principles, you get the correct answer. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to wealth, to health, to happiness, all of it. There's a science to it. And what's beautiful is once you understand it, and remember, understanding comes through application. Once you understand it, you'll be able to apply it for any area of your life. So, with that being said, make sure you have this specific copy, the one that has this image on it. This is if you want to read along with us word for word. There have been people who have been buying two copies, a soft cover and a hard cover, and they mark up the soft cover and then they keep the hard cover all by itself. Yeah, get both of them. That's good. And then again, the reminder is to apply it in your life. All right. So you ready? You ready to dive into this? Say, type in the comments, I'm ready, if you're ready to go back into this. And let's do this. Okay. Now, we're going to actually go back a little bit in the chapter that we were in. Not too much, but enough to, stir you up. So we're here. Matter of fact, I can go back just a little bit further here. Hold on just a second. That wasn't the place that I wanted to go to. And not back, I mean, say forward, I should say. Okay. Actually, no, we'll go right here. This was actually the right spot. This is again in chapter 4, which is my favorite chapter in this book. There's a lot of really great chapters, and boy, it's really, really awesome. So, okay, so what is this again? This is rooted in what's called the original substance, and he's pointing it out. And he's also diving into helping us to understand the principle in the science of getting rich. Now, original substance, okay? It's something that's there. You can't really see it, but it is still shapeable. You can move it into form. You can mold it. Remember, you are the sculptor. The clay is that thinking substance. You're here. We're studying this because we want to according to its thoughts. Every form and process you see in nature is the visible expression of thought in original substance. Now, just look around you in the room you're in right now. Here he's talking about nature, but you can still look at all the stuff that's made. That's still nature itself too, as well, because it's something that moved into form. Now, with that being said, he's pointing out that It's something that happened first in mind before it became the material thing. Cause, effect, sowing, reaping. Now, as formless stuff thinks of a form, it takes that form. Now, let's think about this for you, for instance, with regards to a goal. The way that this becomes a material fact, the way that this takes form, is it first must be a thought. See, it starts in the mind. You know, it's so fun when I talk to people about manifestation. They're always looking for manifestation. I want to learn how to manifest things in my life. Well, manifestation is nothing more than thought externalization. We're always manifesting. The issue is we don't understand many times how to manifest, in other words, how to externalize what we would really love. This book deals with that. Now, in terms of that formless stuff, again, as the formless stuff thinks of a form, it takes that form. As it thinks of a motion, it makes that motion. Okay, wave your hands. Woo. Wave your hands like this. Okay, there's a motion there. And I want you to notice how that motion, as you're moving your hand, came from the acceptance of the idea in mind first. See, the formless stuff thought of that form, and it takes form, and then it thought of a motion, and then it took the motion. And that's the way all things were created. We live in a thought world, which is part of a thought universe. You live in a thought world, which is part of a thought universe. I had you write this down in the last session. Say that to yourself. I live in a thought world. That's the real world you live in, not this material world, not the physical world. Yes, you can touch things. Okay, yeah, okay, fine. Crazy awesome stick person, you can touch this too, right? This. But you know, all of these are effects. Think about it. Yes, you experience the physicalness of this, but you know what? Every one of these things that I'm pointing out here, they were all imagined first. You know, if you just live with that piece here and connect with that alone, you will see some things that are mystical and magical, and they're really not. They're just things that you haven't seen before. You'll realize, oh my gosh, this is so true. You know what you'll start to see? You'll see that God is everywhere, that the universe is everywhere. Now, the thought of a moving universe extended throughout formless substance, and the thinking stuff moving according to that thought took form of systems of planets and maintains that form. It didn't just come out of nowhere. Thinking substance takes the form of its thought and moves according to the thought. Now, this right here, this one line right here, oh my gosh, so important. I want you to notice how he's revealing a flow. Thinking substance takes the form of its thought and moves according to the thought. Think powerful thoughts, you will attract powerful ideas into your life. You will start living powerfully. Robert Collier talked about that. The secret of all power, all success, all riches is in first thinking powerful thoughts, successful thoughts, thoughts of wealth, of supply. We must build them in our own mind first. It starts in the mind. You want to change your lifestyle, you want to change how much you earn, it starts in the mind. It starts in the form of thought. You must enter the kingdom of heaven, which is the kingdom of thought. Holding the idea of a circling system of suns and worlds, it takes and moves them as it thinks. Now, I want you to notice how he's separating it from you, the individual. This thinking substance, it thinks, it moves, it has life. Thinking the form of a slow growing oak tree, it moves accordingly and produces the tree. Through centuries, it may be required to do the work. Those centuries may be required to do the work. Now, let's think about this again for you. Remember, there's a reason why I'm going over this again because of how important it is. Think of the oak tree, the idea of the oak tree. It moves accordingly, produces the tree. See, seed, plant, blossom, fruit. That's the fourfold order of the universe. Now apply that to this for you. See, this practical example of a tree, an oak tree specifically, is meant to help you to see that it applies to everything. Now, in creating, the formula seems to move according to the lines of motion it has established. The thought of an oak tree does not cause the instant formation of a full-grown tree, but it does start in motion the forces which will produce the tree along established lines of growth. When you have written down your goal, you've planted this seed, you've connected with it, you're now loyal to this unseen reality, you have set into motion forces which will produce this. The same way that it's happened here with regards to the tree. There's no difference. Very important. Now, before we proceed, for those of you who are watching this live stream and have tapped into this and now want to watch the rest of these calls and watch the replays, do yourself a favor, go to elevitality.com and register for Master Your Mind. You'll thank yourself later.